Welcome back to our Dino Crisis 2 playthrough. This is part 3, and in part 3 we'll see a few puzzles, and you've seen quite a lot of action so far, but the puzzles will really start to rack up in this section. So we can use the research facility keycard here.
Hey! That's mine!
But unfortunately that was stolen, and so we'll have to get it back from that Little Dinosaur. Yes, this is the very same Little Dinosaur that I've been going on about now for a few hours, and if you've watched this all the way through. The objective of this puzzle is to get the Little Dinosaur into the room that we saw before, and to close all the exits to the room so that it's trapped in there, and then lure that all over to the cages which are in the far corner of the room. And the Little Dinosaur will run away from us if we chase after it, and it's practically predictable which way that thing will run. And so in this case hopefully we've got it through into that next room, and so I'm choosing to use the other door to try and get in there and try and corner that in there, because that thing, I've known myself to play this thing for hours trying to get this damn Little Dinosaur into the trap. So we'll see how many hours it takes us to do it on this particular playthrough. Having closed the exit doors, we'll now open the trap, and I think there's one more in there. Here it is in this corner. Let's close that ventilation shaft. Now the dinosaur is stuck in here, and we'll have to get rid of those vines as well if we want to use that door. So now hopefully we can chase it in there and get back that keycard. If the dinosaur hides under a desk, then you can shoot it out. Hopefully it will run away, and that's definitely one way to find that thing. If you can see something flashing, it's something to pick up. And that's great, we've now got, finally, again, the facility keycard, and we've found a Dino disc which tells us all about that little critter that we just trapped. So finally, first time lucky, we've got that keycard, so let's get out and let's get on to that next puzzle. Let's use our all access card and let's see if that unlocks the next part of the game. No damage bonus, that's always very helpful to get on every single section. And look at this, the game's getting darker at every stage, but this is an exploring section that we're about to enter, and it's not really a high action adventure section, but we'll get to that in the next part. What have we found? We've taken some bits off the floor. And so what is this spinning around? I really want to know. I've got the starter battery. That's the very thing that we need to get the ship rolling. And having got the starter battery, we can now get off this godforsaken island. And we can read all of those backstories. I won't spoil that in case you want to play this game, because some of those backstories will be important later on, and not necessarily for the shooting aspect, but simply to understand that game. got into the place, it looks like we're also going to have to use our medipacks and maybe use the keycard again to get out of it again. And so we don't really want to use the starter battery in this case. So let's get through that door, and hopefully now that we've got that starter battery, we can now make our way back, all the way back to that boat. And the gun is really paying for itself, but look at that, we're still down to 100 ammo, so you have to keep visiting those save places and get that ammo back. Otherwise, just run like heck through that level. Luckily those shops are very near in this game, and hopefully, well, we're surrounded by shops, so hopefully we can top up that ammo whenever we like, or we can just run towards the next shop, which is what it looks like I'm doing at the moment. And so Dylan has all the backup guns as well, and these little critters at this stage aren't much of a problem with this particular weapon, as much as it's useful. It's a medium weapon and it's pretty quick to reload as well, as we shall see later on. There are heavier weapons, but maybe not in this section, because the aim of this section of the game is to get ourselves onto that second island, and having got there we'll have to dive down, use our diving suit and do some exploring underwater. In the meantime, we've got another dinosaur to kill, so let's see what I make of this one. Sometimes it's great to take a breather in between the action, because you can also consider what you really need in a sub-weapon. And look at that, all those shots took out that dinosaur, and you get a big bonus for that at the end of the level, and you can do that without a scratch. You also get a no damage bonus as well, and those points really rack up if you want the good guns in this game. All of the doors seem to be blocked, so we'll have to go the long way back to the boat. And this section, you'll be very glad to know that we aren't going to hang around on the very first island for very long in this video. And give me another 5 minutes and we'll hopefully be on the boat. And so it's a very long route all the way back to the boat this way, but it gives the game replay value. And every time you play the game, hopefully you'll have different weapons or different tactics or a different idea, and so no two gameplays are exactly the same. And of course, if we rush through it, look at that, we can even bring up a sub-map, not that that does much, but we can rush through it and pause the action at any given point, and that means that we don't have to hang around, but earning money in this game means we can unlock the guns. And you may have seen in part 1 that we had the option of getting 2 machine guns, twin machine guns for Regina. We passed up that option, and unfortunately there's no going back. The shop now contains different items, so if you didn't pick up those guns at the time, unfortunately you can't get them now. But there is a choice coming up between a good gun and an even greater gun, and so we'll have to make that choice. We can only make the one depending on the score that we've got at the moment, and you can backtrack in the level as much as we like to try and get all those combo bonuses and try and get all those dinosaurs to give us a big score. In the meantime, we've made it all the way back with no damage to our favourite spot on the first island. It's the water tower, and hopefully, maybe for the last time, we'll be seeing this, particularly on this particular video. And let's just take a moment to recharge some of those small arms, and for 48 you can see in the solid cannon. Let's charge that all the way up, but we don't want to be spending anything on that cannon because there are better weapons later on. So let's get a move on, let's get over this section, and let's remember to take the high route this time because the low route is blocked and you can't climb in this game, you can only climb ladders. So let's choose the ladder and climb over the dead end you can see at the bottom. As soon as the screen changes, then another set of dinosaurs will be triggered, and so wandering onto the edge of one room might inadvertently trigger the same room full of dinosaurs if you walk off that back on it again. So triggering dinosaurs by walking into rooms is something to remember in this game, so always try to move forward if you can after every dinosaur, otherwise it's better not to hang around. So let's make a run for it on this section. Hopefully they can jump over our heads, and as long as we make a beeline for those steps, we can walk and climb out and travel. Another interesting fact about this game is whatever sub-weapon they are carrying will be on their belt, and you can't really see that from all camera angles. They obviously carry their main weapon, whatever that is, and that changes of course through the game, but seeing the sub-weapon dangling from the belt, whether it's, well, I can't see the machete, but I can definitely see the firewall depending on the camera angles, and from this camera angle it looks like a pack on the side of his trousers. So that's great to see those little touches in the game as we equip our players. So let's not go through the dead end, let's take this route. Let's cut out that bit of footage and take this route instead, because this is the route which will lead us to the docks. And unfortunately it's not the last time we'll be seeing this particular room, because it's very important. But for now, let's just get back to those docks as quickly as possible and try to take as less damage as possible with these critters. Hopefully we won't risk any more. Oh, spoke too soon. Let's just try to avoid this thing this time, because if I take this thing on, it's probably going to wipe me out, and I can ill afford that health.
Huh? She's gone.
Yeah, I can see that. You know what else is weird? I've checked the stats on all the residents and soldiers, but I couldn't find any profile fitting her description. It's like she doesn't exist.
Well, I was thinking, maybe she's not one of the survivors at all. What if those helmet people are from a completely different time than ours?
What?
Never mind. We found parts that might help fix the ship. But what matters now is we still haven't found any survivors or helpful data, so we must move on and search elsewhere.
This control panel is programmed to search for the areas where we can dock. Use it.
Right.
We find ourselves on the boat, so the first thing I'll do is to wrestle with those controls and get myself back in the shop and save up our progress, because this is an important spot and it's an important choice, because now that we have a choice between the first, second and the third island, and the second island is the third energy facility, we also have Edward City as well. And so for this I'm mistakenly going to Edward City.
We're surrounded!
Don't worry. I'll take care of this.
Minigame, we get to take on some sea enemies and some sky enemies as well, and it's great that we have unlimited ammunition, and the screen even tells us if we miss something, if there's danger on the left or on the right. All we need to do is to survive, and that's not particularly easy, and we'll only get to face this minigame just the once on this stretch of water. Also a map in the bottom corner which charts our progress to the island, not that the player will be even looking at that, and our destination is flashing as well as us on that radar. We can also gain a tremendous combo bonus. We are at combo 9, combo 10, combo 11, 12, and so this minigame is fun, it looks terrific as well, and so it's always a joy to play this, and we never hardly get harmed as long as we keep that finger on that trigger. Got ourselves a load of points and arrived here at Edward City. We save our progress, of course, and check out the shop because new items have been added. Oh, look at that, the submachine gun is still there, but we want the heavy machine gun. And there's also a missile pod, a rocket launcher. Again, if you buy that, then you can't afford any other weapons because it's 50 grand. so we've spent everything possible on a heavy machine gun to take out the third energy research facility, which we are not at the moment. But let's just take our time and maybe even put in an extra cartridge. Let's check out the prices. Well, we can't really afford much, but yes, will you buy a cartridge? I'm thinking about it because that heavy machine gun will come in useful later on. There's also some armor upgrades that we can buy as well, and new items that we can buy in the shop. But before we even get there, I've realised that we don't have the key to get into the third energy research facility, so we're going to have to go back to the first island again. And because we've already made that trip, we don't have to go through the minigame, simply arrive. Now we're in control of Regina. The first thing we've got to do when we get out of that water is to kill that dinosaur, and maybe it's a lot easier with our brand new gun. And this puzzle had me scratching my head for quite some time because I couldn't work out how to get into the third energy research facility having got there in the boat. And the friend, when I worked in a supermarket, a friend had actually lent me this game, recommended it, and I asked him what's going on. I actually got to this spot and I couldn't even get in there. Where is the key card? And he said, he was older than me, in his 50s, he said, well, I played this game, and apparently if you go to a certain screen on the first island, there's supposed to be something that's flashing in the water. So I went all the way to the screen and had a look and couldn't find anything, and he just said, click on everything, see where you can find it, and I couldn't find head nor tail of the special keycard in the special screen on this level. On this particular screen, apparently something is supposed to be glinting in the water and falling down there, but I missed it on all of my playthroughs of this game, and I can't see it on the footage either. That's supposed to glint and end up in this hollow, and there is a keycard. It must have flowed here by the current. And now I've got the third energy facility keycard. All we need to do is to get back. I seem to be out of ammo at this particular time, so I'm going to do is leg it as fast as possible. And what do I have? Well, the flames thrower. Revenge is always sweet in the game when you can simply turn around and toss that enemy. Now that we have third energy research facility keycard, we can now set off towards that direction in the boat, and because we haven't gone to the second island quite yet, we'll have to traverse it in the boat. Let's just get over to that second island. buy some cartridges for our heavy machine gun. 800 might seem a lot, but as you will see shortly, 800 on this particular section isn't a lot, and we will go through most of those on this particular playthrough. How hard can it be? This is the third energy research facility and everything seems quiet, and that's an ominous sign at the moment. That usually means that a load of dinosaurs are going to show up and we're going to have to run from section to section, blowing them up as we go. So let's see if that prediction comes true as we move on. This section looks incredibly fun, it is, and I always look forward to going through this section every single time I play this game, and it's one of the sections that keeps me coming back and playing this game again and again. So that massive combo bonus means that we can afford some of the best heavy weaponry, and 50 grand for the big rocket launcher. That definitely means that we can go back and milk these levels, and those particular dinosaurs get the massive no damage bonus and combo 15 as well. Can't hang around bleeding here all day long, but my vitality definitely needs recharging, and you can see that I've wasted most of the bullets that we put in that gun already, and so most of the enemies have died. Let's see what this is. It's electronically locked and it requires, guess what, the third Energy Research Facility keycard. Let's swipe that in, and that should mean electronically the door unlocks. That means we're on to a next section of the game. And no more of those particular dinosaurs. Now we get to face something else, hopefully. So let's just check that out. Oh no, we find even more of those dinosaurs. And just in case you got bored of that particular section, it throws it up again. But this time there's a puzzle in the middle of it. And the puzzle in this case is locked and we'll need a key for that. And in the meantime, we can't open that box. So let's press on and see what we find on the rest of this level, because we're getting towards that research facility now. And what do we find in here? Well, a locked door for one thing, and also a key for the box for another. So, as I say, the puzzles in this game more or less smack the player around the head and say, there's the box, there's the key. And after exciting sections like that, you really need, look at that, our last chance to get that submachine gun before I think it disappears forever. Not that we can afford much, but let's check out our arsenal. And at this stage, would I buy some more cartridges for it? Well, yes, the answer to that. So we have 1,300 bullets. Let's not waste any time. Let's fill them up. And let's fill up all the other guns as well while we're here. And having the best charges on all the guns and having the best health, of course, is definitely recommended, but it's also like falling into a dream. You do it automatically at this stage as we're trying to get on with the game, because this third energy research facility is a big place, a huge place, and it's going to take us some time to get through it. We seem to have picked up a mechanic's ID card, and perhaps we'll need that to get into the system later on, but there has to be a reason for this detour, and it can't just be decoration on that level. You can see the points really piling up now, and it's a strange feeling to spend all the points that you've accumulated in the game, thousands and millions, and waste those on weapons. So at the end of the game, your score is based on how much weapons you've got. And so, to operate the terminal, we need a code. We haven't got that code at the moment. What we have got is a huge bank of terminals and also a Dino ID card, I think. And so, we can't really do much. The only lead that we've got is the key that we picked up for the boat that we found a little bit earlier on. And it's another daily message which tells us all about that research facility. Let's check out that door again. What do we actually need? Well, we need the mechanic's ID card. Well, that's fine, because we've got the mechanic's ID card. Let's just pull that out and use that, and see what that does. But we still need the code, and without the code, I'm not 007. we don't have any gadgets. The code is in the boat. We have the key, so let's run towards the boat and, you guessed it, kill more of a few more dinosaurs. And that's the magic code that we're looking for, 2350. And if we can remember that, then that's not too bad, but if we can't remember that, I have no idea if it's possible to find it again. Let's just skip on back, and let's check out that code and see if it works. And of course we've already used the ID card, so we don't need to use it again. Let's just walk into that terminal and hopefully put in that code. We've reached sub-level 1, and that means that this place is underwater, but unfortunately it's not in the water, deep in the water. First of all, we'll have to activate this puzzle to get the mechanics of the place up and running.
Reactivating main power. Please check computer until power is supplied to all devices. Warning: when power is overloaded, this reactivation process will be suspended.
And the power has been shut down, and to put the power on again, you have to trip the switches, and since the trip switches go, we'll have to tag them with our laser.
Main power reactivation restored.
That means the facility is back online, so let's run over towards what it was pointing out, and I thought it was the disc, but it isn't actually, it's the diving suit. So let's just climb up there, collect the disc anyway. And that's just a workman's message, it looks like. Basically, you'll have to figure out the terminals, and that explains the game that we've just been playing, and that's basically it. So if you're struggling on the game, which I definitely was first time around, then that explains it. Let's grab the diving suit and head on towards the second section of this level, and we won't be getting out with the second section on this video. And the first problem is, how do you get to the second section? Well, simply by walking into the terminal below and accessing that. That will then take us down automatically into the water.
Object blocking elevator shaft. Emergency shutdown.
To spend quite some time down here exploring and also remembering our way back out again, and so it's always best to collect that health, of course. It's only a small, we'll take it anyway. So at the moment we're only armed with the small nail gun, and that's not really very good because this is a diving suit and it's meant for nailing things into walls and basically putting things together. It's not really supposed to be for killing dinosaurs. But later on, hopefully we'll bump into a shop and we can spend our hard-earned points on some weapons. This screen, or rather this section, is very important because this contains the main computer of the underwater base, and it also has a save point and a shop which I've just walked straight past, and perhaps it would have been wise to use the save point and the shop before we go any further. Luckily there is a button that we can press to activate a jetpack which fires a jet of water behind us so we can get out. This is the main computer, but as usual it's broken. It needs a plug to be fitted in order for the main computer to be working. So we're going to have to fit a plug into this computer to release that red thing on the map you might have saw. And in the meantime, let's check out the weaponry, because if we can afford some better weapons at this stage, it's better than the crappy nail gun. So what do we have? Well, the aqua grenade is there, and it's 20,000. We can afford it, so let's check that out. It looks powerful. Let's buy that. There's nothing else to buy. And so what else is there? Well, the recovery, we're not doing too bad there actually. And the magazines, do I really want to fit this with any more? 30 is a bit weedy actually, but we'll try and manage for now. And a silver card is available, as well as the body armor. And so the body armor will completely stop you from bleeding, and so no more hemostats or hemostats. We can simply put that on for life, and we don't need to buy hemostats for the rest of the game, as long as we remember that we've got that, which I probably won't, but let's check that out again. We're supposed to be saving this game up at the moment, and having saved this game up, we're now moving on to the next part, which perhaps doesn't have a save point to it. And we're also still going to have to manage with this meagre amount of ammo that we've got at the moment. We're going to have to find our way from here, the main computer, all the way down in the level, all the way down to the bottom of it. So needle gun, it's pretty weedy, let's just get rid of that. And the shockwave, well, that's the only thing we have, and I think that's a jet boost, which means we can get out of the action just like that. Everything spawns in 3D in this game, so sometimes they spawn off the screen and they run onto it. So if you shoot off the screen you might shoot them, but there's so little ammo at the moment, I'm just concentrating on trying to get to the next door. The underwater section definitely has its own atmosphere, and objects in the sky reveal that that's precisely where we need to go. If we can figure out how to get there, that's a very important place on the level. So let's just restock on all our favourite medication. That brings our vitality up, and let's try to explore this, and hopefully we won't drop any further in the level, and hopefully we can climb up there somehow. According to that, to get a small elevator working, we'll have to resume the power somehow, and it's at times like this that the game really doesn't hold the player's hand. But there's only one door left to try. Let's get through that door, and maybe that will lead to the power switches. And yes, that really is the most obvious puzzle in this particular case. Simply move on to the next area and see if it reveals what you're looking for, and hope that you can get back to the previous area at some point. This level is creepy, and the animals, when they do appear, really do dart out of the black, so you have to be ready to shoot those. And you can see a gantry above there, held on by a column. Again, another very important item. We'll have to try to get up there somehow. Times like this, I really wish that the game had a map in the bottom corner, just like San Andreas and all those great GTA games we got brought up playing back in the day. But when I was in the 1990s, when I had a PS1, and maybe 96, 97, not quite sure, but I had one a little bit later, and I kept the PS1, and then I upgraded to a PS2. So this was a very late title which came out for it, and I have this game, it's a brilliant game, and it's one of those adventures that keeps you playing it. And sometimes when it doesn't hold the player's hand, it can be a little bit off-putting, because unbeknownst to me, the puzzle that I'm supposed to be solving requires the very missiles that I'm firing into these dinosaurs. So the more I waste missiles on them, at this particular point, the less I will have for the end of the level. But we've reached the junction point. This is another room which leads to an elevator, and which leads to the exit of the entire level. So we can't do much at this point, but hopefully if we go into that room a bit later on, it contains a shop, and that would have been the quick way to rearm us at this particular point. But having not played this game for quite some time, I completely forgot about that. So here we are, we're down to our last few rounds, and still a long way to go to get to our destination. And here we are at the column, and it says you can weaken the column, but what you need is a big powerful weapon, all of which we've just spent on the dinosaurs. And you need maybe 2-3 blasts, the big weapon, to get rid of it, and no amount of small arms fire will get rid of it in this case. So I'm going to have to come back once I've got a recharge from somewhere, and just maybe trying out different things. Well, the needle gun in this case isn't going to do anything, and maybe I've tried that at this point. Returning back when I had a bit more ammo on board. This is the section with the column. It's cracked. Let's see if we can weaken that using our weaponry. And as it turns out, one was enough after all that, so it didn't require 3 after all. And so let's use this opportunity to get through that door, which leads us into the previous room where we found that item floated around. And so we can interact with things on the wall, which is great. Not just items, we can see what they are, but for the most part they are just decoration. They don't really help, except to maybe further that story. Let's check out the machine. Do you want to pull it? Do you want to pull that handle? Why even give us the option? Yes, of course. That's the main power room. We need that to switch on the lift. Now that we've switched on that lift, all the elevators are working on the level, and so we can use those, including the one which I'm directly beside, to move around that level. Whilst we're here, if we pull along the back wall, we can also fall down here and check out this mysterious item. Now we've got that plug, we can not only access the elevators, but also can switch on the central computer. And that's a limited puzzle. It's certainly not to the extent of Resident Evil, it gives you an option and it says go find it. And that, in my book, is great, and it means the 95% of the action is hopefully retained, and this is the only part in the entire game which is slow and boring, as you have to backtrack all the way back, in this case to the central computer that we found, and put the plug in it, and you have to read things to figure out what they do. In the meantime, I've found myself back to the sub-control room with the elevator in it. What am I about to do? Well, let's see. Let's particularly play through. And in here we find the nearest shop, and the nearest shop, well, it doesn't have any more weapons because we won't be in this underwater section for too much longer, although unfortunately we won't manage to get out of it on this particular video, and I'll save the end of level boss till the next video. We can operate the elevator, and all that does is take us to a shutter at the end of the level, and the shutter is closed. What can you do about that? Well, the only thing that you can do about that is to put the plug into that central computer. And so let's explore the level while we're here a bit more, and let's see if we can explore it, find out what to do. And we've managed to go outside again, so let's rush on back to that central computer. Despite all this padding around, the player definitely will be over the moon when they finally solve the puzzles and get all the way back to the start, and then we'll need to go all the way back to that ventilation shaft that you saw, and that will then open after we trigger the main computer. So it's a memorization game. You'll have to go through all these sections all over again, and it means that we'll have to go through those dinosaurs and take punishment. Luckily we're wearing a diving suit, and that little bit of extra armour that we picked up means that the animals are maybe less likely to cause any direct damage due to banging into us and causing bleeding. So that's great. If we get banged into, particularly wearing the diving suit, it's not really going to make much difference. So finally we've tracked our way all the way back. Let's take the shortcut with the boost and plug the plug into the plug socket on the central computer after we've managed to save this game up. And that's almost 3 hours that we've been playing this game. 2 hours 49 I think it said, so this is almost the end of that third video. I haven't really cut out much, even though we've speeded up quite a lot to get here. And so what can we do? Well, first of all we can find the plug socket, and that means that everything's closed. We'll have to use the plug to operate that. And so in that next part, that's all we have to do is to get back to that vent and to set off from there, get up back onto that lift again and go through that area. Thanks for watching, and maybe I'll see you again in part 4 sometime soon. Thank you.